You talk too much about your dreams. You post your plans on social media. You tell everyone what you're building before you've even started. And deep down, you know this hunger for validation is stealing your power, but you keep doing it anyway because the silence feels too heavy, too uncertain. I am Solomon, and I built the greatest kingdom this world has ever seen, not by announcing my intentions to the crowd, but by moving in absolute silence until my results became undeniable. While others were busy talking about what they would do, I was busy doing what others could only dream of. There is a reason the wealthiest people you know seem to appear out of nowhere. There is a reason those who achieve true prosperity operate like ghosts in plain sight. They have discovered what I learned 3,000 years ago. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is strategy. Silence is strength. Silence is the difference between those who dream and those who dominate. Today, you will learn why every word you speak about your unfinished work is energy flowing away from its completion. You will understand why the men who built empires never needed permission, applause, or encouragement from the crowd. You will discover how to transform from someone who seeks validation into someone who commands respect through results alone. This is not motivation. This is transformation. This is not about changing what you do. This is about changing who you are. From this moment forward, you will never again confuse noise with progress or attention with achievement. The ancient wisdom I am about to share will rewire how you approach wealth, success, and your deepest ambitions, but only if you are ready to embrace the uncomfortable truth that your need to be seen is the very thing keeping you invisible. If you are tired of being average, if you are ready to build something that cannot be ignored, then you need to hear every word of what comes next. Subscribe now because this knowledge will change everything you think you know about creating wealth and the men who possess it. Number 1, the logic of silent wealth. You see them everywhere. The loud ones. The ones who cannot stop talking about their next business venture, their investment strategies, their financial goals. They post screenshots of their bank accounts. They announce every small victory. They turn their wealth building into a performance for strangers on the internet. And you wonder why they seem to struggle, why their progress is so slow, why their energy feels scattered and desperate. I built my kingdom in the shadows before the world ever knew my name. While other kings were busy announcing their intentions to neighboring nations, I was busy fortifying my borders, training my armies, and accumulating resources they could never imagine. When they finally saw what I had built, it was too late for them to compete. This is the logic of silent wealth. This is how empires are truly born. The wealthy do not operate in the spotlight because they understand something the masses will never grasp. Every moment you spend explaining your vision is a moment stolen from building it. Every second you waste seeking validation is energy that should flow directly into execution. The truly wealthy have learned that silence is not the absence of action. Silence is concentrated power. Think of the mountain that grows beneath the earth for millions of years before it breaks through to touch the sky. No one sees the immense pressure, the slow accumulation of force, the patient transformation happening in the darkness. But when that mountain finally emerges, it changes the entire landscape forever. This is how real wealth is built. In the quiet spaces where no one is watching, where no one is judging, where no one can interfere with the sacred process of creation. I remember the early days of building the temple. While other nations were busy boasting about their architectural plans, I worked in silence with my craftsmen and engineers. We made mistakes that no one saw. We refined techniques that no one could steal. We accumulated knowledge that became our competitive advantage. When the temple was finally revealed, it was not just a building. It was a statement of power that rendered all criticism meaningless. You have been conditioned to believe that visibility equals progress, that sharing your journey will somehow accelerate your success. This is the lie that keeps you weak. Every time you post about your goals, you release the pressure that should be building inside you. Every time you seek approval for your plans, you give others the power to plant seeds of doubt in your mind. Every time you explain what you are trying to achieve, you reduce the mystery and power that fuel true transformation. The wealthy understand that energy is finite. They guard their energy like a miser guards gold. They know that every conversation about their unfinished work is energy flowing away from its completion. They have learned that the crowd's opinion is worth nothing, but the crowd's interference can destroy everything. This is why you see successful people seem to appear overnight. They did not appear overnight. They built in silence for years while others were busy talking. They accumulated advantage while others were busy seeking attention. They developed skills while others were busy developing their personal brand. When they finally stepped into the light, they brought with them an undeniable competence that no amount of criticism could diminish. Silence reduces external noise, but more importantly, it strengthens internal focus. When you are not constantly explaining yourself to others, your mind is free to dive deeper into the work that matters. When you are not seeking validation from the crowd, you develop the internal compass that guides you toward real wealth. When you stop performing your ambitions for others, you start living them for yourself. The noise of the world is designed to distract you from your purpose. Social media wants you to share. Friends and family want you to explain. Colleagues want you to justify. But the truly wealthy have learned to say no to all of these distractions. They understand that their silence is not antisocial. Their silence is strategic. In the quiet spaces, away from the opinions of others, you discover what you really want versus what you think you should want. You distinguish between goals that serve your ego and goals that serve your destiny. You separate the dreams planted by others from the vision that emerges from your deepest self. This clarity is impossible to achieve in the noise of constant explanation and validation seeking. The wealthy also understand that silence creates mystery, and mystery creates respect. When people do not know exactly how you make your money or what your next move will be, they treat you differently. They cannot second-guess you because they do not have access to your process. They cannot sabotage you because they do not know your strategy. They cannot compete with you because they do not understand your methods. But perhaps most importantly, working in silence allows you to build authentic confidence. When your self-worth is not dependent on others' approval of your plans, you develop unshakable faith in your own judgment. When you succeed or fail in private, you learn from both experiences without the added pressure of public opinion. You become accountable to your results, not to your image. This is the fundamental difference between those who accumulate wealth and those who simply talk about it. The wealthy understand that wealth is built in the laboratory of silence, tested in the crucible of private challenges, and revealed only when it has become undeniable. Your silence is not hiding. Your silence is preparation for a revelation that will change everything. Number 2, the danger of revealing your plans. Every time you tell someone about your big idea, you kill it a little. Every time you seek approval for your vision, you water it down. Every time you explain your strategy to someone who has never built what you are building, you invite confusion into clarity. You know this is true because you have experienced it countless times, yet you keep making the same mistake because the need for validation feels stronger than the need for success. When you expose your plans before they have taken root in reality, you awaken forces that exist solely to destroy what you are creating. Envy is real, and it operates through people who smile while they speak. Doubt is contagious, and it spreads through well-meaning friends who share their fears disguised as concern. Interference is inevitable when you give others access to your sacred process of creation. Your plans are like seeds that need to germinate in the darkness before they can handle the harsh light of public scrutiny. When you plant a seed, you do not dig it up every day to show your neighbors how it is growing. You protect it from the elements, water it in private, and trust the process until it becomes strong enough to survive exposure. Your dreams require the same protection. I learned this lesson when I was still young and eager to prove myself to the court. I shared my vision for expanding trade routes with advisors who had never ventured beyond our borders. Each conversation diluted my original insight. Each opinion added unnecessary complexity to a simple strategy. Each suggestion moved me further from the clarity that had inspired the vision in the first place. I realized that the moment you invite others into your unfinished creation, you are no longer creating alone. You are creating by committee, and committees create mediocrity. The need for validation is the enemy of execution because validation and achievement require opposite energies. Validation seeks comfort and approval. Achievement demands discomfort and independence. You cannot simultaneously seek permission from others and maintain the unwavering focus required to build something extraordinary. Every moment you spend explaining your vision is a moment you could have spent refining it. When you tell others about your plans, you also give them the power to become judges of your progress. They will ask you how it is going, not because they want to help, but because they are curious about your success or failure. They will offer advice based on their own limitations and fears. They will project their own relationship with risk onto your situation. Without meaning to, they become obstacles to your progress because now you must consider their opinions every time you make a decision. This is why so many promising ideas die in conversation before they ever see the light of implementation. Each person you tell will find reasons why it will not work. Not because they want to sabotage you, but because they cannot see what you see. They cannot feel the certainty you feel. They cannot access the inspiration that drives you. So they default to doubt, which is easier than faith, and criticism, which requires less courage than encouragement. But there is something even more dangerous than other people's doubt. When you constantly explain your vision to others, you begin to doubt it yourself. You start to hear your own plans through their ears, and suddenly, what felt inevitable begins to feel impossible. What felt clear becomes complicated. What felt urgent becomes optional. This is how dreams die, not through direct attack, but through the slow erosion of confidence that comes from too much explanation. Every explanation you give drains your power to act because explanation and action draw from the same source of energy. When you talk about doing something, you experience a small release of the pressure that should be building inside you. Your brain gets confused and thinks you have already made progress when all you have done is talk about making progress. This is why people who talk the most about their goals often accomplish the least. The wealthy understand that their vision is sacred and must be protected from contamination. They know that premature exposure weakens the creative process. They have learned that most people cannot see potential, they can only see problems. Most people cannot imagine what does not yet exist, so they default to reasons why it never will exist. When you reveal your plans too early, you also create unnecessary pressure to perform according to other people's timelines and expectations. They will want updates. They will want proof of progress. They will want to see results before you have had time to properly build. This external pressure corrupts your natural rhythm and forces you to make decisions based on appearance rather than substance. Think about this carefully. The moment you announce your intentions, you transform a private journey of growth into a public performance of success. You shift from being accountable to your results to being accountable to your image. You trade the freedom to experiment and fail privately for the burden of maintaining credibility publicly. This trade will destroy your chances of achieving anything meaningful. Your plans also become vulnerable to sabotage in ways you cannot imagine. People will share better opportunities with others instead of you. They will introduce competition into markets you thought were yours alone. They will unconsciously plant seeds of doubt through innocent questions and observations. They will delay your progress through endless discussions and advice that takes you nowhere. But perhaps most dangerously, when you reveal your plans before they are strong enough to defend themselves, you invite the wrong kind of help. People will want to join your vision who do not truly understand it. They will want to modify it to fit their own agenda. They will want to make it easier, safer, more conventional. They will turn your revolutionary idea into another version of what already exists. The solution is not to become antisocial or secretive. The solution is to become selective and strategic. Share your completed work, not your ongoing process. Reveal your results, not your methods. Announce your victories, not your battles. This way, you maintain the mystery and power that fuel continued success while still inspiring others through your achievements. Remember this truth. Your vision belongs to you until it becomes strong enough to belong to the world. Protect it like you would protect a flame in a storm. Guard it like you would guard a treasure from thieves. Honor it like you would honor a sacred trust, because that is exactly what it is. Number 3, silence as a spiritual shield. You have been taught to seek counsel from everyone except the one source that actually matters. You post your dilemmas on social media and wait for strangers to guide your destiny. You ask friends who have never built what you are building to advise you on your path. You turn to books written by people who may or may not have walked the road you are walking. But how often do you sit in complete silence and listen to the voice that knows your purpose better than any human ever could? I did not consult the crowds when I was building my kingdom. I did not seek approval from neighboring kings when I made decisions that would affect generations. I did not turn to popular opinion when wisdom was required to judge between right and wrong. I turned inward to the source of all wisdom, to the voice that speaks only in silence, to the guidance that comes not from human knowledge but from divine understanding. Silence is where wisdom is born that cannot be debated, challenged, or corrupted by human limitation. In the quiet space between your thoughts, away from the noise of other people's opinions, you access a level of knowing that transcends logic, circumstance, and fear. This wisdom does not come from books or teachers or experts. It comes from the same source that guides the planets in their orbits and the seasons in their cycles. When you build in silence, you align yourself with forces that operate beyond human comprehension. You tap into the same creative power that formed mountains and carved rivers and brought life from emptiness. You become a co-creator with the intelligence that designed the universe itself. This is not mystical thinking. This is practical spirituality. This is how real wealth is created, not just accumulated. I remember the night before I was to make the most important decision of my reign. The kingdom faced a choice between war and diplomacy, between immediate victory and long-term peace. My advisors were divided. Some urged aggression, others counseled patience. Each had compelling arguments backed by historical precedent and political logic, but I dismissed them all and spent the entire night alone in the temple, not reading or planning or strategizing, but simply listening. In that silence, away from all human counsel, the answer came with such clarity that I wondered why I had ever doubted it. Not as a voice or a vision, but as a deep knowing that felt more real than anything I had ever experienced. When I announced my decision the next day, my advisors were surprised by its wisdom, but I was not. I had accessed a level of understanding that no human consultation could have provided. This is what happens when you choose silence over noise, divine guidance over human opinion, inner knowing over external validation. You stop making decisions based on fear, limitation, and the narrow perspective of those who have never seen what you are trying to build. You start making decisions based on a wisdom that sees the end from the beginning, that understands consequences before they manifest, that knows the path even when it is not visible to human eyes. But silence is more than just a tool for better decision-making. Silence is a spiritual shield that protects you from the contamination of other people's doubt, fear, and limitation. When you constantly expose your vision to human opinion, you pollute the pure stream of inspiration that flows from the source. You allow finite minds to judge infinite possibilities. You permit fearful people to project their limitations onto your limitless potential. The masses operate from scarcity consciousness. They believe that resources are limited, opportunities are rare, and success requires taking from others. When you share your vision with people who think this way, you invite scarcity thinking into abundance planning. You allow their limitations to become your obstacles. You permit their fears to become your doubts. But when you build in silence, protected from the influence of small thinking, you maintain connection to the abundance that is your natural inheritance. You remember that the same creative force that provides for every living thing is also providing for you. You access the faith that moves mountains instead of the fear that builds walls. Those who build in silence attract divine favor, not human opinion, because they demonstrate trust in a power greater than human understanding. They show faith in guidance that transcends human logic. They prove their worthiness by choosing divine partnership over human validation. This faith is always rewarded, but not in ways that small minds expect. The favor of the divine does not always look like what people think success should look like. Sometimes it looks like protection from opportunities that would have destroyed you. Sometimes it looks like delays that prevent you from making costly mistakes. Sometimes it looks like closed doors that force you toward better doors you never would have found. But those who build in silence learn to recognize this favor in all its forms. When you pray for guidance and then wait for human confirmation, you demonstrate that you do not truly trust the source you claim to follow. When you receive divine inspiration and then seek human approval, you show that you value human opinion more than divine wisdom. When you get clear spiritual direction and then ask others if you should follow it, you prove that you are not ready for the blessings that await those who truly trust. Silence also creates space for miracles that logical thinking cannot produce. In the quiet space where you are not trying to figure everything out, solutions appear that your mind could never have calculated. Resources show up that your planning could never have attracted. Opportunities emerge that your networking could never have created. This is how the divine works in human affairs, but only when there is silence enough to receive what is being offered. The world will tell you that silence is passive, unproductive, impractical. The world will insist that progress requires constant communication, collaboration, and consultation. But the world is bankrupt of the kind of wisdom that creates lasting wealth, meaningful success, and authentic power. The world operates from limitation and produces limited results. You have access to unlimited resources, infinite wisdom, and divine guidance, but only when you are quiet enough to receive them. Your silence is not empty space. Your silence is sacred space where the impossible becomes inevitable, where your highest vision meets divine power, where your deepest purpose aligns with unlimited provision. This is why the wealthiest and wisest people throughout history have been people of deep prayer, meditation, and contemplation. They understood that human counsel is limited by human experience, but divine wisdom has no limits. They knew that human opinion changes with circumstances, but divine truth is eternal. They trusted that divine guidance would never lead them wrong, even when it led them through paths that others could not understand. Your silence is your sanctuary where you meet with the source of all wealth, wisdom, and power. Guard it like you would guard your life, because in many ways it is your life. Everything you are meant to become, everything you are meant to build, everything you are meant to contribute to the world is waiting for you in the silence where only you and the divine can meet. Number 4, ostentation, the trap of the weak. You see them everywhere, desperate to prove their worth through external displays. The expensive car they cannot afford, purchased to impress people who do not care about their success. The designer clothes worn to convince strangers they have achieved something meaningful. The constant posting of material possessions, as if wealth were measured by what you own rather than who you have become. This is the behavior of people who do not understand the difference between having money and being wealthy. Ostentation is the language of insecurity spoken by those who have confused appearance with substance, image with identity, possessions with power. It is the trap that catches those who have accumulated some resources but have not yet developed the inner strength that makes wealth meaningful. They show off because they need external validation to believe in their own success. They display their achievements because they fear that without proof, others will not recognize their worth. But true power never needs to prove itself. The sun does not announce its brightness. The ocean does not boast about its depth. The mountain does not advertise its strength. They simply are what they are, and their essence speaks louder than any proclamation ever could. This is the nature of authentic wealth, real authority, genuine success. It exists independent of recognition, functions without approval, and commands respect through presence rather than presentation. I ruled the wealthiest kingdom in history, yet I did not spend my days displaying my riches to visiting dignitaries. My power was evident in the wisdom of my decisions, the prosperity of my people, and the peace that reigned throughout my lands. Those who came seeking to understand my success found it not in my possessions, but in my character, not in my displays, but in my results, not in what I owned, but in who I had become through the process of building what I owned. The true king does not need to prove his royalty, because royalty is not something you wear or display. Royalty is something you embody. It is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you have earned your position through merit rather than inherited it through luck. It is the inner authority that commands respect without demanding it. It is the natural magnetism that draws others toward you, not because of what you have, but because of who you are. When you feel the need to show off, you reveal that your self-worth is still dependent on external validation. You demonstrate that you have not yet developed the inner foundation that makes wealth sustainable. You prove that you are still operating from scarcity consciousness, always needing to prove that you have enough because deep down you fear that you do not. This fear drives destructive behavior that actually prevents the accumulation of real wealth. Money spent on impressing others is money not invested in building your future. Energy spent maintaining an image is energy not directed toward creating substance. Time spent performing success is time not spent achieving success. Ostentation is not just inefficient. Ostentation is counterproductive. But the damage goes deeper than wasted resources. When you make your wealth visible, you attract the wrong kind of attention from the wrong kind of people. You become a target for those who take from others rather than create for themselves. You draw envy from those who measure their own worth by comparison to yours. You invite interference from those who want to bring you down to their level rather than rise to yours. Ostentation also delays your progress because it requires you to maintain appearances that may not align with your best strategic decisions. You cannot take necessary risks if failure would damage your image. You cannot make bold moves if they might temporarily reduce your visible status. You cannot invest everything in your future if it means living modestly in your present. The need to look successful often prevents you from becoming truly successful. Think about the difference between a nouveau rich individual and old money families. The newly wealthy feel compelled to display their success because they are still surprised by it, still insecure about it, still seeking validation for it. But families who have maintained wealth for generations understand that real wealth is quiet, protected, and strategic. They know that ostentation attracts problems and that discretion preserves power. The wealthy also understand that ostentation attracts the wrong enemies at the wrong time. When you display your success too early, you invite competition before you are strong enough to handle it. You draw attention from those who want to stop your progress before you have built sufficient defenses. You make yourself vulnerable to attacks that could destroy what you have worked so hard to create. But perhaps most importantly, ostentation corrupts your relationship with wealth itself. When you use your resources primarily to impress others, you transform money from a tool for creating value into a prop for performing status. You begin to measure your worth by other people's reactions rather than by your own growth. You start making financial decisions based on how they will look rather than how they will serve your long-term objectives. This corruption of purpose leads to a hollow form of success that provides no lasting satisfaction. You accumulate possessions but not peace. You gather assets but not authentic confidence. You build a financial portfolio but not personal fulfillment. You become wealthy in appearance but poor in spirit, rich in resources but bankrupt in meaning. The solution is not to live like a monk or to deny yourself the fruits of your labor. The solution is to understand that real enjoyment of wealth comes from the security it provides, the freedom it creates, and the impact it enables, not from the impression it makes on others. When you no longer need external validation, you can finally enjoy internal satisfaction. True wealth is demonstrated through results that speak for themselves, not displays that demand attention. It is shown through the problems you solve, the value you create, and the lives you impact, not through the things you own or the status you project. It is proven through your capacity to generate resources, not through your willingness to spend them on appearances. When you reach this level of understanding, you discover that the most powerful position is the one that cannot be seen by your enemies, understood by your competitors, or measured by your critics. You realize that being underestimated is an advantage, that being overlooked is protection, and that being undervalued by others allows you to overdeliver on their expectations. This is why the wealthiest people often appear surprisingly ordinary, drive modest cars, live in reasonable homes, and dress without extravagance. They have learned that true power lies not in what others think about what you have, but in what you can do with what you have when action is required. They understand that ostentation is the trap of the weak, but discretion is the shield of the strong. Number 5, the result is your final defense. You have spent too many years explaining yourself to people who will never understand your vision. You have wasted countless hours defending your decisions to those who lack the courage to make their own. You have exhausted your spirit trying to prove your potential to minds that can only see problems, never possibilities. But there comes a moment in every person's journey when explanation becomes unnecessary, when defense becomes irrelevant, when the only argument you need is the undeniable evidence of what you have built. Life responds with facts, not promises. Reality honors results, not intentions. The world pays attention to what exists, not what might exist. This is the fundamental law that separates those who achieve lasting success from those who spend their entire lives talking about what they could achieve if circumstances were different, if people believed in them, if the timing were better. Your results are the only currency that holds value in the marketplace of human achievement. Everything else is just noise. Your education, your connections, your plans, your potential, your excuses, your explanations. None of it matters if you cannot point to something tangible that you have created, something measurable that you have accomplished, something undeniable that proves your capability to transform vision into reality. When you finally arrive at the destination you have been working toward in silence, something magical happens. All the people who questioned your judgment suddenly develop amnesia about their doubt. All the critics who predicted your failure mysteriously disappear from the conversation. All the experts who explained why your approach would not work become strangely quiet about their previous certainty. I experienced this phenomenon countless times during my reign. When I announced plans to build the temple, advisors warned me about the cost, the complexity, the impossibility of the undertaking. Religious leaders questioned whether such grandeur was appropriate. Political rivals suggested that the resources would be better spent on military expansion. But when the temple stood completed in all its glory, these same voices were suddenly filled with praise for my vision, wisdom, and leadership. This is how the world works. People cannot argue with results because results argue for themselves. When you succeed, your methods become genius regardless of how foolish they seem to others during the process. When you achieve what others said was impossible, your strategy becomes brilliant even if they called it stupid when you explained it. When you reach your destination, the path you took becomes the obviously correct one, even if everyone told you it was the wrong direction. Success has a way of rewriting history in your favor. The same people who dismissed your ideas will claim they always believed in you. The same critics who predicted your failure will insist they were just testing your commitment. The same experts who said your approach was flawed will suddenly remember that they offered valuable contributions to your success. This is not dishonesty. This is human nature. People align themselves with victory after it becomes undeniable. But here is the deeper truth. When you arrive at your destination, you discover that their opinion never mattered in the first place. The validation you thought you needed, the approval you craved, the recognition you sought. None of it has the power to add anything meaningful to your achievement. Your success is complete without their acknowledgement. Your accomplishment stands independent of their understanding. Your victory tastes the same whether they celebrate it or ignore it. This realization is perhaps the most liberating moment in any person's journey toward meaningful achievement. You understand that you never needed their permission to begin, their encouragement to continue, or their congratulations to finish. You were complete in your vision from the beginning. You had everything required for success before you started. You possessed the authority to build your dream before anyone else recognized it. Silent victory tastes like justice because it proves that the only opinion that matters is the one that drives you to action rather than paralysis, to creation rather than explanation, to results rather than excuses. It validates the wisdom of those who choose to build in private rather than perform in public, who invest their energy in work rather than words, who trust their own judgment more than popular opinion. When you succeed after others doubted, you do not taste the sweetness of revenge. You taste the satisfaction of vindication. Not vindication of your ego, but vindication of your faith in a process that most people will never understand. You prove that vision combined with persistent action can overcome any obstacle, including the obstacle of universal skepticism. But the real victory is not external. The real victory is what you have become in the process of achieving what you set out to achieve. The person who can conceive a vision, protect it from contamination, execute it despite opposition, and complete it regardless of circumstances. This person is more valuable than any specific achievement because this person can achieve again and again. Your results also become the foundation for your next level of ambition. When you have proven to yourself that you can transform vision into reality, you develop the unshakable confidence required to attempt even greater challenges. When you have demonstrated that you can succeed despite doubt and criticism, you develop immunity to the opinions that stop most people before they start. This is why successful people often appear to have an unfair advantage. They do. The advantage is not money, connections, or luck. The advantage is the proven track record that eliminates doubt and provides evidence that what seems impossible to others is merely difficult to them. They have results that argue on their behalf when others question their capabilities. Your results also attract different people into your life. Instead of those who question whether you can succeed, you begin to attract those who want to learn how you succeeded. Instead of critics who focus on problems, you draw supporters who focus on possibilities. Instead of doubters who drain your energy, you magnetize believers who multiply your impact. But perhaps most importantly, Your results give you the freedom to pursue your next vision without the burden of having to prove yourself again. You can make decisions based on what serves your highest purpose rather than what convinces skeptics of your competence. You can take risks that align with your values rather than play it safe to maintain credibility with people whose opinion adds no value to your life. This is the final defense that renders all other defenses unnecessary. When your results speak, every criticism becomes irrelevant. When your achievements are visible, every excuse becomes embarrassing. When your success is undeniable, every doubt becomes evidence of the doubter's limitation rather than your own. The only way to reach this place of invulnerability is to stop defending and start building. Stop explaining and start creating. Stop seeking validation and start generating results. Because in the end, the world does not remember what you said you would do. The world only remembers what you actually did. Number 6, practices to get rich in silence. You know the theory, but theory without practice is just sophisticated procrastination. You understand the power of silence, but understanding without implementation is just intellectual entertainment. You see the logic of building wealth away from the spotlight, but seeing without doing is just another form of fantasy. The question is not whether these principles make sense. The question is whether you have the discipline to live them when everything in our culture pushes you toward the opposite behavior. Creating wealth in silence requires practical systems that protect your vision from contamination, while ensuring consistent progress toward your objectives. It demands specific practices that may feel uncomfortable at first, because they go against everything you have been taught about sharing, networking, and seeking support. But these practices are not suggestions. They are requirements for anyone serious about building something meaningful in a world designed to distract you from your purpose. The first practice is creating goals that only you know about, not goals you keep private until you achieve them, goals that you never share with anyone ever. These are your sacred objectives, known only to you and whatever higher power you acknowledge. They are protected from the contamination of other people's opinions, limitations, and projections. They remain pure in their original inspiration, unmodified by well-meaning advice or fearful warnings. This practice requires you to resist one of the strongest human impulses, the desire to share excitement about future possibilities. When you conceive a vision that thrills you, every fiber of your being wants to tell someone about it. Your ego wants recognition for the cleverness of your idea. Your insecurity wants validation that your plan makes sense. Your loneliness wants companionship on the journey ahead. But you must learn to channel all of this energy into execution rather than explanation. Write your secret goals in a private place where no one else will ever see them. Review them regularly to maintain focus and measure progress. Adjust them as circumstances change and wisdom increases. But never, under any circumstances, share them with another human being. Let your results be the first time anyone learns what you were working toward. This practice alone will multiply your success rate in ways you cannot imagine until you experience it. The second practice is working in environments shielded from others' opinions. This means creating physical, digital, and social spaces where you can build without interference. Choose your workspace carefully, ensuring it is free from interruptions, distractions, and the energy of people who do not share your vision. Curate your digital environment to eliminate sources of doubt, comparison, and negativity. Structure your social life to minimize exposure to energy vampires who drain your motivation through their own limitations and fears. This shielding is not about becoming antisocial. It is about becoming selective. You need environments that support your highest potential, not spaces that accommodate everyone's comfort level. You need influences that challenge you to grow, not voices that encourage you to stay safe. You need energy that fuels your ambition, not atmosphere that dims your vision. Consider where you do your most important work. who has access to your thoughts during crucial decision-making periods, and what kind of energy surrounds you when you are planning your future. If these environments are not optimized for success, you are sabotaging yourself before you begin. Most people fail not because they lack ability or opportunity, but because they attempt to build excellence in environments designed for mediocrity. The third practice is cultivating a cycle of execution, analysis, and continuous silence. This means taking action without announcing your intentions, evaluating your results without sharing your process, and refining your approach without seeking external input. You become your own board of directors, your own source of feedback, your own system of accountability. Set specific periods for intense work where communication with the outside world is minimized or eliminated entirely. During these periods, your only job is execution. No social media, no unnecessary conversations, no updates to anyone about your progress. Just pure, focused action toward your objectives. These periods might be hours, days, or weeks depending on your situation, but they must be protected from interruption. Follow your execution periods with analysis phases where you honestly evaluate what worked, what did not work, and what needs to be adjusted. This analysis is done alone, without input from others who were not part of the execution. You learn to trust your own judgment about what your results mean and what changes are necessary. You develop the internal compass that guides you toward better decisions without needing external validation. Then return to silence and begin the next cycle. This rhythm of action, reflection, and renewed silence becomes the heartbeat of your wealth-building process. Over time, you develop an intuitive sense of when to push forward and when to pause, when to adjust course, and when to stay committed, when to take risks, and when to preserve resources. The fourth practice, and perhaps the most important, is choosing one or two mentors while keeping everything else between you and whatever higher power you acknowledge. This means being extremely selective about whose counsel you seek and whose example you follow. Most people make the mistake of trying to learn from everyone, which results in learning from no one. They collect advice like souvenirs, accumulating opinions without developing judgment. Choose mentors who have actually built what you are trying to build, not people who have theories about building it. Seek guidance from those whose results prove their competence, not those whose credentials suggest their expertise. Learn from those who embody the principles you want to master, not those who can explain principles they have never practiced. But even with mentors, maintain the discipline of silence about your specific plans and progress. Learn their principles, study their methods, understand their thinking, but keep your application of their wisdom private. This protects your unique interpretation of their guidance from being corrupted by their specific circumstances or personality. For everything else, for all the decisions, challenges, and opportunities that do not require specialized expertise, develop the practice of turning inward rather than outward for guidance. Whether through prayer, meditation, contemplation, or simply quiet reflection, create regular periods where you listen to the wisdom that emerges from silence rather than seeking answers from external sources. This practice builds the spiritual strength that sustains long-term wealth building. It develops the faith that carries you through periods when no human can understand what you are attempting. It creates the inner authority that makes you immune to the doubts and limitations of those who cannot see what you see. These practices are not comfortable because comfort is the enemy of growth. They are not popular because popularity is the enemy of excellence. They are not easy because ease is the enemy of achievement. But they work for everyone who applies them consistently over time, regardless of background, education, or circumstances. The path to wealth through silence is available to anyone willing to trade the comfort of constant communication for the power of focused action, the safety of seeking approval for the strength of trusting their own judgment. the entertainment of sharing plans for the satisfaction of achieving results. These practices transform you from someone who talks about building wealth into someone who actually builds it. There is a moment that arrives without announcement, when you stop asking permission from the world and start taking direction from the voice that has been waiting patiently within you. It comes quietly, like dawn breaking over a mountain peak, illuminating a landscape that was always there but hidden in darkness. This is the moment when silence stops feeling empty and starts feeling full of infinite possibility. You will know you have crossed this threshold when other people's opinions begin to sound like distant echoes from a life you used to live, when their doubts feel as irrelevant as yesterday's weather, when their need to understand your journey becomes less important than your commitment to walk it. This transformation does not happen overnight, but when it comes, it changes everything. The person you are becoming through this practice of silent wealth building is someone the current you can barely imagine, not because the change is dramatic, but because it is deep. Like a tree that appears the same from season to season, while its roots grow stronger and reach further into the earth below. The growth happens in the invisible places where real strength is born. Your silence is not withdrawal from the world. Your silence is preparation for a different kind of engagement with it. An engagement from abundance rather than need, from certainty rather than hope, from power rather than permission. When you finally emerge from this season of quiet building, you will carry an authority that cannot be argued with because it was not acquired through argument but through accomplishment. If you are ready to join those who build empires in the shadows before revealing them in the light, if you are prepared to trade the comfort of constant communication for the power of focused creation, then continue walking with us. Subscribe to deepen your understanding of these ancient principles that transform ordinary people into extraordinary forces of creation. The journey into your true power has only just begun. Every breath you take in silence is an investment in the person you are becoming. Every moment you resist the urge to explain is energy flowing toward the manifestation of what you were born to create.